Embattled Senator Trillanes has gone straight to the Supreme Court in a bid to challenge President Duterte's proclamation that voided the amnesty granted him. Dale De Vera with a report.
It is reminiscent of a detained colleague whose supporters filled the stretch of Padre Faura in Manila. Senator Leila de Lima, however, remains in jail after losing her fight at the Supreme Court. Now her fellow opposition Senator Antonio Trillanes IV is also facing the High Court, this time to evade the possible arrest while challenging a presidential proclamation voiding his amnesty. Trillanes' lead counsel, Attorney Ray Robles, says if the Supreme Court can no longer be trusted, the people seeking justice have nowhere else to go.
Maraming nagsabi sa amin, huwag pupunta sa Supreme Court dahil politicized daw, dahil yung mga mahistrado natin ay loyal sa Pangulo. Ang tingin ko, dito sa mga ganitong issue, na ang kinabukasan at buhay na natin ang nakataya, maninindigan ang mga mahal nating mahistrado ng Supreme Court para gawin yung tama.
Trillanes asks the court to issue a stay order against Proclamation 572, but his ultimate call for the court to declare President Duterte's action null and void ab initio, a premise similar to Proclamation 572.
We believe it is unconstitutional for a number of grounds, no? Also the attempt of the PNP and the armed forces to arrest the senator is grossly illegal. No? The president does not have the power to issue warrants of arrest.
The senator's camp believes the president cannot unilaterally withdraw a completed act of amnesty. This, Robles says, also violates the senator's due process and a clear act of political harassment. Robles explains that the proclamation also violates Trillanes' right against double jeopardy. He added President Duterte committed grave abuse of discretion in issuing the proclamation considering that his amnesty clears him of his previous offenses.
Nakalagay nga sa jurisprudence natin, pag may amnesty, lahat ng krimen nabubura, no? It's extinguished and obliterated, no? So wala ka nang pwedeng buhayin.
Robles also raises the attempt to have Trillanes arrested without a valid warrant. Chief Justice Teresita Leonardo de Castro and the rest of the magistrate will first appreciate the senator's plea. And while the plea is at the High Court, Trillanes has to wait in the Senate premises for an initial outcome. Reporting for News 5, Dale De Vera, we are One News.
Joining us tonight from the Senate is no less than Senator Antonio Trillanes himself. Good evening, Senator. And if I'd like to start off on the documents that you presented today, just to clarify, is that a copy of the questioned application that was being sought by the DOJ? You have a copy of that? And secondly, how did you get a hold of these documents?
If the application form, is that the one you're referring to, Robbie?
Yes, Senator.
If you're referring to the application form, then yes, it is a sample of the application form. It's a pro forma or a template of the actual form that we filled out. So I showed there that there is a statement of the admission of guilt. So there is no way that an applicant will not admit to an admission to the guilt or participation of these crimes because it's already in the forms. All you need to do is to sign it, which is what I did as shown on the video that we presented to the media. And these forms were given to us by some contacts from the Defense Department.
Okay. In the meantime, sir, going on to other things going on with regards to your situation. As you know, tomorrow is a Friday, and as you know also how things work in this country, a lot of warrants for arrest tend to be released on a Friday before a weekend. At the same time, you have been asked by the courts to comment on the government request to issue a warrant for your arrest. Does this mean that you effectively have a few days, 4 or 5 days, before you have to worry about any actual release of any warrant of arrest?
We're not ruling out a unilateral action on the part of the armed forces using their pretext that I am still under the jurisdiction of the armed forces, no matter how fantastic that may sound. But if they are determined to take me in and put me away in some detention facility, then they would twist the law, they would twist the constitution just to satisfy the whims of their master, Mr. Duterte.
Okay, in the meantime, you are in the custody of the Senate President. What has Senator Tito Soto told you by way of saying how far the Senate and his office will go to protect not just you, but the Senate as an institution?
The Senate as a body, we had a caucus a few days ago, and it was agreed that no arrests should be allowed within the Senate premises. So that was the agreement.
Okay, but in the meantime, earlier today, we talked to Senator Win Gatchalian. He did refer to the caucus that you also mentioned, and he said in the caucus, the senators agreed that they will only honor an order from a proper court. But in that caucus, was there an agreement on what is a proper court? Will the Senate, for example, stand down and stand aside from an order from a military court?
Well, that was not clarified during the caucus, and probably next week we would be able to do that. But of course, it's quite basic, and everybody knows that I am no longer a civilian as early as 2007, as proof to, or as shown by the documents that I presented earlier, or yesterday for that matter. And but again, this administration knows no rules. They've been killing people randomly, and so they couldn't care less about the rules. So we're expecting whether a warrant of arrest or an arrest order from whatever, whoever. And at some point, the senators may need to resolve that question of yours.
Okay, in the meantime, Senator, what is the update on your motion to look into the security agency of the family of Solicitor General Calida? Does your projected time frame with the courts and any possible warrant for your arrest and your request for a TRO, do all of this still make it feasible for you to carry out that proposed probe before any possible issuance of a warrant?
Well, on the day that they published the proclamation, I conducted the hearing that exposed the shenanigans of Mr. Calida. I was able to present the different contracts of Calida's security agency amounting to around 350 million pesos. And the very obvious conflict of interest there is a Solicitor General. Based on the administrative code, he is the lawyer of all the government agencies, and a function of the lawyer is to review contracts. So in this case, he's going to review the contracts with a company that he owns at least a majority share, which is the Vigilant Security Agency.
Okay, Senator Antonio Trillanes joining us live from the Senate. Maraming salamat po.